Tonight, you will probably lie in bed for a while before sleep finally takes you. You might stare at the ceiling. You might check your phone. You might wonder why your brain refuses to shut off. And tomorrow, if you wake at 3 a.m. and cannot get back to sleep, you will assume something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. In fact, your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is following an ancient rhythm that modern life has nearly erased. A rhythm that, for most of human history, was not considered a sleep disorder. It was just sleep. Historian Roger Ekirch spent 16 years combing through diaries, court records, medical texts, and literature from across the medieval and early modern world. What he found changed everything we thought we knew about human rest. In his landmark 2001 paper, and later in his book At Day's Close, Ekirch documented hundreds of references to something called first sleep and second sleep, two separate, distinct sleep periods, broken in the middle by an hour or two of quiet wakefulness. This was not insomnia. This was the schedule. Your ancestors did not sleep the way you sleep. They went to bed shortly after dark, usually around 9 or 10 at night. They slept for roughly 4 hours. Then they woke, not in a panic, not in frustration. They simply opened their eyes, lay quietly in the dark, or rose to do small tasks. They prayed, they talked to their partners, they smoked a pipe. Medieval people actually recommended this middle-of-the-night window as the best time to pray because body will be relaxed and the mind will be calm. Then, after an hour or two, they drifted back to sleep for a second round until morning. This was not the behavior of the sleepless or the anxious. It was the behavior of every human being on Earth before electric light arrived and quietly rewired civilization. So what happened? In 1994, psychiatrist Thomas Wehr conducted a landmark experiment. He took a group of healthy adults and removed artificial light from their evenings, exposing them only to natural light and darkness across a 14-hour winter night. Within weeks, every single participant had shifted to a two-phase sleep pattern. First sleep, a wakeful period. Second sleep. Without any instruction or suggestion, their bodies remembered something ancient. Your body still remembers it too. The problem is that the modern world gives you roughly 8 hours of darkness if you are lucky, and often fills even those with screens that flood your retinas with blue wavelengths. Blue light tells your brain that it is still mid-afternoon. It suppresses melatonin, the chemical signal your body uses to begin its descent into sleep. So you compress everything into one long block, wrestle with it, and call the result rest. But here is what your brain is actually doing inside that block. Sleep researcher Russell Foster at the University of Oxford has spent decades mapping the human circadian system, and what his work reveals is that your brain does not experience sleep as one undifferentiated state. It cycles through distinct phases: light sleep, deep slow-wave sleep, REM dreaming. These cycles repeat roughly every 90 minutes throughout the night, and somewhere in the small hours, usually between 2 and 4 in the morning, your body passes through a natural biological threshold, a seam, a gap between cycles where wakefulness is closer to the surface than at any other point in the night. For your ancestors, that gap was the doorway between first sleep and second sleep. For you, it is the moment you bolt awake, heart thumping, checking the time, calculating how many hours you have left. The content of that wakefulness has changed. The wakefulness itself has not. Think about what the pre-electric night actually was. There was no light pollution. On a moonless night, the darkness was absolute. You could not safely venture outside. You could not read. You could not work. The only things available to you were your own thoughts and the slow quiet of a world at rest. That natural pause in the middle of the night was not wasted time. It was arguably some of the most unguarded mental time a human being ever experienced. People reported vivid, memorable dreams. They lay in a state that sleep researchers now recognize as hypnagogic, the borderland between sleep and waking, where the rational prefrontal cortex is still offline, but the imaginative, associative regions are humming. Many historians believe this is the state in which a great deal of ancient prayer, vision, and inspiration occurred. The night did not belong to darkness. It belonged to the inner world. Now consider your own relationship with waking at 3 a.m. You open your eyes and the first thing that happens is dread. You count the hours, you calculate tomorrow, you worry about the worrying, you reach for your phone for reassurance, and instead flood your optic nerve with simulated daylight. Within minutes you have completely overwritten the hypnagogic window. And then you lie there, exhausted and wired, wondering why sleep will not return. It will not return quickly, because your body is not broken. It simply arrived at the seam between two phases, and found, instead of gentle darkness, a blazing screen and a mind, already sprinting toward tomorrow. Ekirch believed that the mass medicalization of middle-of-the-night waking began in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as industrialization pressed working hours earlier and earlier, and artificial light extended the evening further and further. People began compressing sleep into a single block to fit the new schedule. When the natural midnight awakening arrived anyway, it no longer had a culturally recognized place. It became a symptom rather than a rhythm. Doctors began treating it, the pharmaceutical industry followed, but the rhythm itself never left. In traditional societies in parts of Africa and South America, where artificial light remains limited, sleep researchers have documented the same biphasic pattern that Ekirch found in the historical records, not as a disorder, not as something to treat, simply as the way bodies work when they are allowed to follow the dark. You are not insomniac, you are not broken, you are ancient. Your body is still running software written across hundreds of thousands of years of dark nights. It still pauses at the seam, it still offers you that quiet hour. The question is only what you do with it. Your ancestors used that time to come back to themselves, to lie in the warmth and let the mind wander without agenda, to pray or dream or simply exist without performing, to turn inward before the second sleep carried them gently back under. You can do that too. Next time you wake at 3 a.m., do not calculate, do not spiral, do not reach for the light. Instead, try to remember that you are not failing at sleep. You are succeeding at something much older than sleep hygiene, much older than mattresses, much older than any clock you have ever owned. You are resting the way your species was built to rest, and the fact that you still wake at exactly that hour, after everything modernity has done to your nights, is not a glitch. It is your body refusing to forget who it is. Tonight, when you lie down and the world finally goes dark, your ancient rhythm will be waiting for you. Just like it always has been,